We do forget, and I've said this before, we forget that the person that we love is.
Nobody knows what you want.
Women want safety.
I'm sure you've heard of the name Jesus, and I'm sure you've heard of the cross, but do you really know what Jesus went through?
I want to give a word to the fellas today and remind all the fellas of the 5 basic things that your lady needs from you. If you're
Think about that.
from you. If you're dating, if you're engaged, if you're married, here are the 5 basic things she needs from you. Number 1, she needs regular affection. I love you. I care about you. You're beautiful. You're special. She needs regular affection. Number 2, she needs regular conversation with you. A woman who's in a relationship with a man needs about 15 hours a week of meaningful communication. Fellas, that's a part-time job. She needs good conversation with you. Regular conversation, consistent conversation. You're into her world. You're asking her questions. You care about what she's going through. Number 3, she needs you to be hot. She needs you to be honest, that you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. She needs you to be open with your feet hot. Number 4, your lady needs financial security. You need to make enough money, not only to support yourself, but to support your family, to support your lady. She shouldn't have to be worried about money. She shouldn't have to be worried about bills. She shouldn't have to be worrying about the electric, the water bill, and things like that. She needs financial security. Number 5, she needs your commitment to family. She needs you to be a family man, that you spend time with your children, that you interact with your children, that you love on your children, you show up for your children for games and school events, and you read to them if they're younger, you spend time with them. Meet the needs of your lady.
This is very important. Men do not understand the role that safety plays in a woman's life.
Spice Girls almost told us, you don't.
We, walking down, we could be in the best neighborhood in the world. We could be in a safe town. We could be in a city. If we're walking down the street and it's empty, our antenna is up. It doesn't even matter if it's broad daylight. That's something that most men can't even begin to wrap their heads around. I'm going to go to an empty parking lot by myself? No way. I don't care if it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. If I don't see anyone around and the parking lot is empty, am I walking to my car alone? I might be running. And so this is the reality of women. And biologically, women, it's like we have the babies. We want to make sure that the babies are protected. We want to make sure that we're in a relationship with someone who will protect us. This is partially biological. So how does that translate into the modern world? Well, women want a partner who is, and we're talking about male partners, right? So we want your presence. So this is going to sound very simple, and maybe you've heard it before, but you fixing the problem is not what you think it is. Because a lot of men, there's a problem, they want to fix it. Or, we're overwhelmed. And what most men do is they want to come to the rescue and say, I know how to make it so that you're less overwhelmed. You just have to do 1, 2, and 3. You'll be less overwhelmed. And the funny thing is, he's right. A lot of the time he's right. But we know that already. What we need in that moment is someone just to listen or to give us a hug and to have presence with us. That's like, and then we can maybe calm down and enter our more rational minds, because women are perfectly capable of rationality. But at first, we might be feeling like that intensity of emotion. And here's a thing about emotions, that probably the number one thing that women complain about, if you will, their male partners, that they wish that they had more of, that men need to know, is, I wish my emotions didn't scare him off. If I had a dime for every time I've heard that phrase in some way spoken to me, and that I've thought it, I would have so many dimes. I would have enough dimes to, feed the world, kind of thing, that kind of thing. I wish that I could be in a bad mood and he wouldn't take it personally. I think, and this is my experience, and I would love to hear your thoughts, Chris, is that a lot of men, when they get into relationships with their female partners, there's an unconscious need for their woman to be happy because they feel so responsible for our happiness. And I think that, what I've been told by many men, personally and professionally, that what he's most drawn to is when we're relaxed and we're smiling and we're happy. But we women, we can't be happy all the time. And sometimes we get anxious and stressed, and we have a very delicate hormonal system. And, we have a different mind. We have something called diffuse awareness, or we feel responsible for everyone and everything. And we're not so, women have the capacity to go into the part of the brain that's very singular focused, but we also have this incredible curse/gift to just juggle like 50 million things at once. And so we're not always going to be happy, also because we're a human being. And a lot of women have said, he can't handle it. He gets very reactive when I'm not happy. And so that's it. Those are the things.
It's interesting. I'm not sure about the happiness thing, but I certainly know that peace is something that I think a lot of guys try to optimize for, and that dealing with the whirlwind that can be a woman's emotions disrupts the peace sometimes, and learning how both people can regulate to kind of bring that back down to earth.
Yes, is very important. But a whirlwind of emotions doesn't always have to be drama. I've certainly worked with a lot of women to stop bringing drama. There's a lot of men who bring drama. But yes, optimizing peace. But do they really want peace? I mean,
depends who you are. Depends what your nervous system set point is. I have some friends that like the chaos. I have some friends that use that as a proxy for excitement, for love, for where they feel the most engaged. It's something that's interesting. I'm firmly in camp peace, but that's not necessarily for everyone. That being said, Whitney Cummings told me this story, which was really great. She was stress checked, I guess stress tested by a football player that she was dating, maybe a few years ago. I don't know how long ago. And she'd been sort of yapping and sort of playing up this kind of like Hollywood starlet style thing. And there'd always be something. There was always something going on. There was always something fiery happening. And she turned to him and she said, well, like, if you're dating me, it's because you want a challenge. Like, I'm the girl that you come to if you want a challenge. And he turned to her and he said, what sort of guy wants a challenge in his long-term relationship? And she was like, he's a guy that spends his days at the training ground and his evenings playing a difficult game. He has enough challenge already. He's delivering the maximum amount of challenge that he wants. Coming home and finding that there is more challenge being put on you than this person needs, that they're playing up some additional level of, they're choosing to not do any of the regulation themselves. I think,
No, that's a problem. I don't believe that but her saying that is, I don't believe that, it's not necessarily true. In other words,
that she had the choice.
Well, I mean, it's like, well, if you say, put her that aside. If you're saying, well, the men who want me want a challenge, well, what does that actually really mean? Like, to me, that's saying, well, you're not willing to actually do the work to actually bring some harmony into this relationship. I'm not speaking about Whitney. I'm just saying in general. That's a lovely excuse. I mean, we're all challenging. You have to ask yourself, how am I difficult to live with? Because, we're all difficult in some way to live with. And I think that having some level of awareness of how we are difficult to live with, and being able to say to our partner, like, I love you for putting up with this part of me.
Yep.
Like, that's where it's at.
It's one of the most beautiful things that you could say.
Yeah,
like, to be able to see your own flaw, and then to appreciate the fact that this person has just wordlessly decided that they are going to continue to swallow whatever it is that you do. Yeah, yes. Two Alain de Botton quotes. The first one being, he says, on every first date, you should ask the other person, in what ways are you mad? And he says that
yes.
One of the greatest delusions that single people have is that they're actually perhaps quite an easy person to live with.
Yeah. Look, and some people are easier to live with than others. They just are. But we all come to the table with stuff. And I think that it's just a matter of, when it comes to choosing a partner, a lot of people don't know how to differentiate between the tolerable and the intolerable. Because they didn't learn that. They saw their one or both of their parents tolerate a lot. And so one of the things, if one keeps having these sort of disappointing relationships, these very painful relationships, one of the things to explore is knowing where your limit is in terms of what you can tolerate. Because we should have a lot of flexibility and tolerate a lot in a relationship, but you need to know that chunk of whatever that you just won't tolerate,
You need to be your best self, even after the honeymoon. Stress and fear can turn a secure relationship into a dysfunctional one. We have to make it a priority to show up as our higher selves as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, this is what we were talking about a little bit before, which is that we are their best selves in the beginning, and then we get comfortable. And then we have this unconscious belief that this person that loves us should love us no matter what. So even if I'm coming to the relationship consistently, and I really want to emphasize consistently, because we will do this sometimes, consistently stressed, moody, irritable, cold, why would you expect anyone to put up with that on a consistent basis? And relationships are what we make of them. And they need attention. And they need attention in the form of our mindfulness. And that means that we're not going to be perfect, but you can't do all these wonderful things in the beginning and then stop doing them and expect your relationship to be a good relationship. It's really as simple as that. And this is what people do. This is what I've never met anyone who hasn't done this. Who
Why?
hasn't. It's a law of familiarity. We get used to something and we start to take it for granted. We think, comfort is a wonderful thing in a relationship. Too much comfort often leads to the demise of a relationship. Get so comfortable that we think, it's like, how a lot of us can be around family? We can regress to our 7-year-old self and be a total shit, and we know we're going to be loved anyway. People do that in their romantic relationships, and it's a mistake. It's a mistake to do it anyway, but it's really a mistake in your romantic relationship. So we think
feelings, open with your emotions. And the T in hot means that she needs you to be transparent. She needs you to be vulnerable. If you are Clark Kent, you are so transparent that she knows you're Superman, and she also understands your kryptonite because you've been transparent about it. So be
a gift, and we think that they're a given. And that is just the law of familiarity. And it's because we become unconscious and mindless in our relationships. A relationship really has, we think that you go into a cave or you go into an ashram or you do some sort of, psychedelic trip, that's the spiritual work. No, the spiritual work is in a relationship.
There's books written about, you don't even know what you want.